past that is just glory, you know, like
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the the life that you were fighting for all along.
Thanks for being the light. Okay, so just finished up an amazing interview with FLVMO, who is an incredible producer, marketer, just an all-around deep thinker, and someone who I'm really proud to have known and worked with in my life. So that so the conversation we had was really amazing. It was we both talked about how we had taken different steps to try to improve our lives, to try to become more effective as people and accomplish some of the goals that we had in a more in a way that actually allowed us to gain traction in our lives and do some of the things that we wanted to do. And I just kind of ended the interview by kind of asking Flamo, what is the way, what are some ways that you could apply that knowledge to like, or that you could convey that knowledge to someone who is maybe in a tough spot in life and wants to, gain some headway, or and I even took it a step further and I was like, what would you tell someone, who's homeless, because I've seen people who are on the street that have, seem to have some amazing skills. I've seen people who can rap, who can literally, who are doing creative things to try to market themselves, who are keeping a very positive attitude in life, where I've seen a lot of people, who have their needs met, who aren't very, maybe aren't feeling very positively, and they show that. So it's just, people may have the tools or the mindset needed to actually do things in their life that could move them forward, but maybe their circumstances are preventing that, or maybe there was just one thing, like one piece of advice that could help them to, to think outside of the box and find a solution, utilize maybe resources that are available to them, or, take advantage of something that is out there that they maybe could do or get involved with, or seek services from. And that's also where we, that's where we as an organization, I think, where our goals kind of start to focus, where I want to focus them anyways, is just to find a way to bridge the gap between an individual out there who, there may be services for, but those services are not coming to that individual, or that individual is not coming to those services. So I think that there's definitely a gap there, and I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking about that as an issue and doing things to try to fix that as an issue. But I just want to jump in any way that I can. And from my standpoint, it's very little that I have, that I can really offer at this point. But I know that I can offer my thoughts. I can offer thought-provoking conversations with people who might have better advice to give than, maybe I would. And that's kind of what I'm seeking to do at this point, with this podcast, the Be the Light podcast. So without further ado, here's the episode with Flamo.
Okay.
Cool, man. So yeah, my whole idea was like, the kinds of conversations that we have, right? We talk about deep topics, like spirituality, just stuff like that. Like I want to get my Rick and Morty shirt in here, dude. Speaking of deep topics, Rick and Morty represent. All right. But yeah, we talk about, more fun kind of like, kind of like edge, kind of like esoteric kind of topics and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
And we started this a long time ago with a tongue tied, a podcast called Space of Awareness. And
Hmm.
kind of a cool, like that was actually the first podcast that I ever did. And that was after I met you in a kava bar in Miami. And there was another friend of ours was the bartender, and you had a friend of yours there, Jason, and we were
Right.
all kind of talking about some kind of a deep, spirituality type topic, and the whole thing was just like, I guess we were all just kind of vibing on the same wavelength, right? And I don't know if it was you or if it was Jason that was like, "Oh, we should do a podcast." And and I think Jason was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got the gear." Or you said that. I don't remember. It was all a blur.
It still is a blur, but
Right, right.
it ended up coming to fruition, bro. Like we made it happen. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and I felt like that with you. Like the very first time we started talking was actually, I think it was, we were talking about music, and you brought up this one artist that you thought I like resembled. Like
Oh,
I think it
yeah,
was
yeah.
my music or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
style. You thought I could just like embody that. And I thought, you know what? I like this guy. You're like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Eric is a cool guy. Yeah.
I was saying Childish Gambino. I think that's what I was
Nah,
saying. Yeah.
no, man, it wasn't, because if you would have said Childish, I would
No.
have been like, bro, this is like,
Don't put
this
me in
is my guy. No, 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 not even that. Man, I love Childish Gambino, but
right?
it was another artist and his music video that you were showing me. You thought that the
Oh
music
no, I
video was
remember.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because during the pandemic, there was this. I remember this guy came out with this video, and it was like all like, like quarantine kind of like it was like a lab kind of setting, and
Yeah.
it's all everybody was in like hazmat suits, and I was just like,
Hmm.
whoa, whoa, this is like a nice little commentary of a video kind of situation, right? Um,
Hmm.
and he had really cool looking merch. Like his merch had this like I can't remember what it was, like some kind of a character or something in it. I can't. I think the phrase he used was "flame up." So and it was like a cool color too. It was like flame up with like I don't know, if it's a green flame or red flame or something. But I just thought
Yeah.
it. I was like, whoa, that is. I was like, I like the artist, right? I thought their video was really cool. But then I also thought like that merch looks so cool. Like I'm like I want to buy one of those, but then I couldn't find like they didn't have it to where you could find the merch. So I was like,
Right.
bummer, because I would have bought it probably at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was so that was you and Jason, right? Um,
Hmm.
we first I came on your guys, or did we do ours first with it was Ollie, right? Ollie.
It was, I I don't know. I get the dates mixed up too, but I think our podcast was more so like a deep dive into just like who you were as a person,
Yeah.
like whoever the guest was. And then we would just tap into that world. Whereas the space of awareness was, like whatever that esoteric topic was in that moment, or,
Mhm.
for that episode, that's what we
We kind of
kind
just
of like
ripped
delve into.
on
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
just like let it flow wherever it went, right? And
Hmm.
so the one that you and Jason did, I think I came on and so I had a shirt for a thing that I had. It was like a business idea. I don't even know what it was going to be, like a spiritual community or something.
Hmm.
And I had made a shirt that said "Find Your Guru," and so I brought that. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to revive this idea. And I came on the podcast with that. And long story short, I had been through some kind of like spiritual kind of searching prior to that
Right.
podcast. So we talked about a lot of stuff, and I was kind of like I had a glow about me. I had a different. Even looking back, I try to cultivate that mindset. Whatever was going on with me during that time, I just felt like I was beaming, like I was just like in some kind of a special place or something.
Right.
Um,
Um,
so that was a
mhm.
nice conversation that we all had, just talking about random things and stuff. And it kind of I think it got me into this, like what I'm doing now, like this kind of podcasting kind of thing. So just wanting to do this.
Wow.
Like, I don't think I'm gonna
Wow.
actually like really, bought like because I this is just kind of impromptu. It's just a couple of laptops, right? There might be some
Hmm.
audio glitches, like we'll find out when we get done. But I actually went out and bought like lights and microphones and stuff and started really trying to I branded it with like a t-shirt and everything and I had a whole, you know, thing and I would find interesting people like you.
Exactly. So what it did was ignite a flame in you, like something that you probably did or didn't know you had, but it just lit up the path, and then you
Flame up.
went into it. Yeah, you flamed up, man. You went into it, which was dope to see because like you would come to me and you would tell me about these different like interviews that you would have with this person or that person, and how like different they were, just different people, and
Yeah, yeah.
it was just so cool. It was cool to see, cool to hear about, and amazing. And I'm glad that you got that from what we were creating back then. So yeah.
Yeah, and you guys did a lot of that too. I saw like you guys had episodes with people like from various different disciplines, like, and you kind of followed the same vibe with like sometimes you would have an artist,
Hmm.
or sometimes you would talk about spirituality with someone who was like meditating a lot or doing a lot of yoga or breath work or you
I
know,
mean, man, if you just look at like the place that we went to, Ruth was just the root of it all, man. Like we had
yeah,
everything, different personalities, awesome people to meet. You wouldn't know like who you were having a conversation with until like after the fact. Like,
yeah,
oh, whoa, wait a
exactly.
minute. That person did all of that? What? So, and that's similar to how I felt about you, man. Like,
For
you're an
real.
awesome dude. Like from base to you traveling, like playing with live band, stuff like that is just amazing to me, So yeah,
It was amazing
yeah.
for me to get to do. And it's funny too because like for me it was like a chapter of my life, and I can't say I closed it, but like I slammed the door on parts of it because like I
Mhm.
mean, and I don't mean it in like a rude way, but like it's like audio echo with the band that it was like a tribute. Like I just I pretty much just walked away from what felt. I mean, it's not. It wasn't that I was. We weren't famous, right? But
Mhm.
the shows we would play would make you feel like you were.
Right.
Oh, you got you had to get. I mean, you got to get the experience of feeling like you were. Which is pretty cool. And then and then people knew you for it. So then that becomes like, I don't want to say like a flex, but you know what I mean. Like it becomes something where your ego gets tied up in it because
Mhm.
when people kind of know you for that, and then like all of a sudden one day, you're not like people don't people still remember you for that, but that's not you anymore because you're not doing that.
Exactly.
It's
I
like,
got you. Yeah.
well, yeah, I know
Yeah.
I used to do that, or or if you tell somebody who didn't know about it, like you're telling, I feel like I'm living in the past if I talk about it now. Like I literally, you know what I mean? I'll show somebody the video or whatever. I'm like, here's what I used to do, man. Check it out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I get both sides of it. I get both sides of that. It's similar to what I'm dealing with now, right? And I think, of course, like you say, you're still feeling the echoes of your past life too. But if that's what you were showing people,
Hmm.
and in that space, and that's what they know you as,
Yeah.
you can go through years of change. And if those same people come and see you where you are presently, they'll
Yeah.
still expect that old version of you. So I
Yeah.
don't blame them. I
You
don't
can't,
blame them for that. Hmm?
yeah, you can't blame them, can you? And even if it's like a
No.
negative thing, right? Like say if I was just kind of screwing around and just being unproductive, like, and people see that for like a long time, then when I'm doing something that's, I can't blame people for being like, oh, there he is, um, just chilling all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But they're more inclined to like they're more inclined to be happy with the growth and change,
Yeah,
that you found now in your present life. Which is,
yeah.
I guess that's where the fake energy kind of comes from, because
Hmm.
they didn't expect you to be where you were now.
Yeah, yeah.
But you kind of like made the change and
I,
evolved,
I didn't
which is
expect
which is interesting. Mhm.
like I didn't expect it either. I just see someone say, yeah, I wake up one morning and I'm doing something else.
That's life, man. That's
I
life.
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to live a life where I get so rigid that I'm not just relaxing to a certain extent. And it still throws me for a loop when I see like when I look back and I see myself in a different place and something new has materialized because oftentimes I went through a period before that of just feeling like nothing was happening, like feeling like I had done so much to try to make things happen and it just hadn't been having any tangible results. And then suddenly just being like, oh, well, that actually worked out. you know, like I feel like the element of letting go. in all of that, like to an extent to where you just kind of like it's like at that very moment where you want to stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. You don't see the point in it, or you just, whatever it is, like, you feel like your efforts haven't paid off, so you just kind of are wanting to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes it's that moment when you just, whatever it is, if you're really trying to push past whatever point of failure or trying to get to the threshold of where it succeeds, you try, you're basically ready to give up, and then you just try one more time. Like that's what I was like. I think I told you, I told other people, just don't at that point, just for the fun of it, you know, just to say that you did, or just I don't know, just out of curiosity, just try one more time. If you fail, go ahead. You could be like, okay, all right, well, I tried again and it failed. Like that's fine too. But that one time often ends up being the time that something comes through. You know,
Right, right.
um, it's almost like to me, it's like this principle of when you mentally feel that there's nothing more that you can do, like that's when you're on the threshold, basically. Because it's like that's the point where I feel like we're kind of calibrated to want to give up right when we reach that point, and that like somehow we're configured as human beings, like to where that point of exhaustion is like right at the edge of said threshold, like. But it's funny too,
Wow.
'cause, like I see things in terms of like things being like following a particular pattern. And maybe that's from all the spirituality that I've gone through. It's just like starting to look at things like, oh, there's a pattern to this, there's a pattern to that. Like, and then just being like, okay, well, it's almost like it's a game, like in a video game, like you will be playing the level, you have to play it so many times, right? But it's just some little quirk of the way you move or the thing you do that just makes the difference, and then all of a sudden, boom, you pass a level, you know?
I call that the meeting of the veil. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like it's right in front of you. You can't see it, but for whatever reason, there's this energy or this force that's like telling you it's over. It's time
Like
to
it's right there.
throw in the towel. Yeah, it's right
Really
there, but
good.
you can't see it. You
Yeah.
can't see that it's right in front of you, but there's some sort of energy that's really testing you,
Mm-hmm.
um, and even telling you to turn around. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can just take that next step and push forward, you would see that, okay, the veil is uncovered, it lifts itself, and then past that, it's just glory, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the life that you were fighting for all along.
Right.
So yeah, and kind of like back to what you were saying, man.
Mm-hmm.
I faced that challenge like it's a little different for I don't want to say different, but it's the same thing, but I experienced it differently.
Right.
Um, for me, it was more so, okay, I know I should be doing this one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that shiny object over there looks good too. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
all I would want to do is just try that new thing.
Yeah.
But the goal stayed the same. The goal was always like achieving some sort of greatness or accomplishing, like the end result, whatever that was for me. And then but it would always change. The vehicle that I would use to get to that goal would always change.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get back to a place where I said, okay, you know what? It's I have to line everything up, together. Like the vehicle, the goal, and even me, like getting my head on straight have to be aligned and in the same car if I want to get to whatever goal I'm trying to reach in my life. Because if I don't do that, if the goal is over here, the vehicle is over there, and I'm constantly changing the car that I'm using to get there, how
Yeah.
will I ever get there? Like the path is just drawn out and long for no reason when I
Yeah.
could
It's like
just
you're
stick to
walking around
one
and
thing
everything's on
and make
branches.
it.
You have to go down all those branches as you go along
Yeah.
just to keep going
Mhm.
another inch forward, right? Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And it's better to just like really stay on what it is that you want to achieve in your life. Stay on it, grind, make it happen, and then, if you so choose, try something else. But at least accomplish and complete the first like goal you set out for yourself. So yeah, I mean,
Hold on, you got to say that part again because it was cutting out a little bit. But yeah.
yeah, like it's just grinding with that one goal until you accomplish it. And then once you've done that and you proved it, because you're not proving it to anyone other than yourself. Of course, there's other people around you who's holding you accountable, and maybe you have some responsibilities that you may have to tend to. But for the
Mhm.
most part, it's you. Like, can you do this for yourself? Can you set out the objective and then accomplish it and say, okay, yeah, like I did that? Because one, I feel
Mhm.
like the more you accomplish these objectives that you set out for yourself, the more confidence you gain in
Yes.
yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like that. This is just what I'm realizing, bro. In the last month, I've accomplished. I've gotten myself like two certifications.
Okay.
Um, and I'm still like aiming for more. You know, like trying to grab more. So but I know before, like maybe let's just say a couple of years ago, if I tried to do the same thing that I was doing now, man, it would probably take me a year or two to accomplish
Mhm.
it, you know. But it's the fact that I'm laser focused on one
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
and trying to make it happen.
I
So
like that, man.
yeah.
And I like with anyone I see who's on their grind, I'm just like, you do you. Don't let me get away. So, but you know what I mean? Like, I always think that's good, man. And like you say, like in the past, you might have been in a place where something like that would have seemed like a long, tedious task. It might have taken you long to get around to it, and now it's just like just knocking it right out, which is great, man. I think that is key. And I've struggled with that at times, and it's funny. That's why I'm like, how the heck have I even succeeded?
Dude, ooh, okay, you know what? You know what? All right, I've got an awesome question for you, man. How do you feel about like how how
Mhm.
how do you see time? Let's put it like
Oh
that.
my gosh, man. That's a great question, isn't it? Um,
Mm,
so you know, I want to say like when you're younger, you feel like you have a lot of it, right? Um,
mm.
I just went through like a I want to call it, I'm probably like, it's probably an insult to anyone who's actually gone through a real midlife crisis to say that I've gone through a mini, like pre midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I just turned 40. And I feel like usually 50 or beyond is where the real could happen. So so personally, I feel like I'm just like I'm talking about something I don't know about, right? By saying that, but I just bought a bunch of guitars, okay,
Okay.
and and I just set them all. I like took some pictures of them last night, like with the like I bought a stand for like three guitars. It's got an acoustic, like basically the guitars I would have wished I had like when I was younger, right?
Mhm.
Um, and now well, I mean, I found good deals on them, so I'm good at doing that now, so I don't have to spend as much money to get something nice. But I'm looking and I'm like, I have all this stuff that I used to really want, you know, and I shouldn't have bought it right now because like I need to be hanging on to that money. And you get that nagging feeling in the back of your mind, like I shouldn't be doing this, you know. That's kind of how I felt.
Mm.
Like
Buyer's remorse.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I got just this morning, I apologized to my wife. I was like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm like, I told her the pre, how you say, pre midlife crisis or something. I like use that as an excuse. I was like, look, I'm done. And she's like, yeah, you can't buy anymore. I'm like, I'm not, no more. This is it. Like, I'll probably sell some of them. But I mean, and it also kind of speaks to that whole like it doesn't really bring you satisfaction just to have more things, right? Like
Mm.
at a certain point it becomes a burden because you got to figure out what you're going to do with all the things you have. And even maybe you have some if you have too many things, you can start to feel a little uneasy, like, man, what am I doing? Why did I just do that? Um so there's like this illusion, right, where it's like having more things is going to supposedly make you happy, right?
Mhm.
But you can always want for something else, so that just never ends, right? Like it just if you go down that trail and you continue to believe that that's the truth, like then there's always going to be something else that you can choose to not be satisfied because you don't have, and et cetera, et cetera. um I feel like this is a good place to segue into the whole homelessness conversation, right? because it's Be the Light. It's an organization to help the homeless in Miami, Florida, and surrounding areas. So the whole idea that I have, right, through like these kinds of discussions with you and me or someone else or us and someone else, it would be great to just talk about, you and I have both undergone our own personal journeys of transformation, of trying to better ourselves and, level up in life, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
Um, to some degree of success, for each of us, to where, I think for me, it surprised me the things I managed to do lately. And I'm sure you feel the same about some of the stuff,
Right.
um, which is cool, man. What were your certifications in, by the way?
Well, digital marketing
Okay.
certification. I've also gotten my ACI in engineering and environmental.
The
So,
audio engineering?
no, engineering and environmental. So it's like
Uh-huh.
just the field of you know, engineering, structural engineering.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
so that's more so of the work background, and the digital marketing is what I'm like currently on the path towards. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
so
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like it's cool. How do I put it? Because I'm not trying to like make it sound anything less than what it is, because it's definitely cool.
Mhm.
But it's more so seeing that I had this potential within me, but it was untapped because I didn't know
Mhm.
like that I could tap into it, if that makes sense. Or maybe I was exerting that energy on some other things that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
just didn't have a like, I don't know, I didn't have a real necessity or goal for it. Like my goals weren't aligning with what I wanted,
So how
basically.
did that come into the picture as a as a thing that you wanted to pursue? Like so
Digital marketing, man, that's something that I've always had an issue with, and it didn't take me. I realized this maybe 6 months ago, man.
Mhm.
So when it comes to music or art, just anything, just being able to put myself out there, I've always had an issue. Always had an issue with it. Like I didn't know how to put myself in front of people. I can create a product, I can get it good, you know. Won't say the best. I mean, I guess the best in as it relates to me and
Yeah.
what I can do,
Mhm.
but getting it to you is difficult, and I've always
Yes.
felt like that.
Mhm. So you
So
started studying marketing.
yes, like
Yeah.
man, my interpersonal skills are like skills. They're not like they're not they're not just built within me. I had to work on these things. So um now when it comes to being able to sell myself, like, dude, I have no skills. So I
Yeah.
had to like I felt like digital marketing was the field that would
Mhm.
properly align me with, the skills that I needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but then, and that turned into you starting to realize that you can take those skills that you were learning and get certifications and actually find more work and professional opportunities down that road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if I can learn from the best of the best,
Hmm.
and yeah, if I can learn those skills from the best people who do those things, then I know I can take this back home and either help someone else closest to me, achieve their goals and putting whatever they have in front of people, or I can do this for myself. I guess that's just the way that I see it, now at least.
So, who are the best of the best?
Who are the best of the best? I
Yeah.
mean, just look at your company, bro. You know what? Um there's a research out there that says
Uh-huh.
you as a US citizen, you come across 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements per day.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is just people throwing stuff at you, like
Right.
businesses, companies, or even just, you know, consumer to consumer, just throwing things at you every day.
Hmm.
And when I saw that like my mind was blown. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I guess this is true.
Wait,
So
it's cutting out. When you saw what?
I said when I saw the stat that every day as a U.S. citizen you come
Yeah.
across nearly between 4,000 to 10,000
Ads.
advertisements. Yes, that's insane to me. That's
It is.
insane to me.
It is like
Hmm.
I mean, the bus just drove by. I'm pretty sure it had well, that one was a trolley, but like the regular one has a sign on it. Um, I mean, I'm surrounded by books, which are technically telling me something with their titles, right? If I even go on social media, I'm probably getting advertised to. If I stay on there for an hour, I scroll through 200 posts, I probably got 200 messages of some sort, you know?
Bro, bigger than that,
Yeah.
just look at you as a person, man. Like how
Hmm.
many, you know what I'm saying? How
Hmm.
many businesses are you loyal to?
But that's
And
that's
then
the thing too, right? Oh, hold on. Let me see. It says running out of time. Meeting time. Okay, so I'm just looking to see how much time. It says we have 9 minutes and 52 seconds with the recording. So,
okay,
but yeah,
okay.
so yeah, but you're right. Like I'm doing several things, right? But I could benefit from some of the things you've learned. And I'm boy, am I gonna pick your brain at one point. I'll take like remember our friend Jesse, the photographer? He used to do that.
Yes.
Where he would do branding for a whole place and like choose how it was gonna look, and then also do the websites and stuff. So he kind of like make it all aligned, right? And
Yes.
yeah, so I can see that it's human psychology, right? Colors and what stands out to you and uniformity and all these things, branding, to where you have something you can recognize the business by, right? Like where it's
Hmm.
unmistakable when you see it. Um, I like that. I need to learn more about how to push something, especially when it comes to social media, right? Um,
Hmm.
just because like it's such a powerful tool, that being said, like if you were to try to talk to, or if you were to try to relate what you do, just in general, as an artist, as
Hmm.
a musician, um, as a marketer now, and I know
Hmm.
you do some audio engineering too. Just about that, as a
Right.
producer and like, you work for. Do you do like radio or like a podcast right now that you're working with, or up until this?
Podcast radio, no, man. In terms
Yeah.
of just
Hmm.
engineering audio, I have the skill set is there, but using it to professional means not right now, no, man.
Yeah, because I mean, I know you got to the point where you can dial things in to where they sound so good, they sound so sweet that
Hmm.
somebody's gonna be like, "That's radio ready." Like
Right.
the way you might make, because I wrote I'm an artist and I wrote some music under it's Johnny Mystery, it's called, and your handle is Flamo, which is FLVMO, right?
Right. Yes.
So we're both artists, but he helped me make a an EP that I recently made, and whenever he mixes my vocals, they sound it's like that kind of like radio kind of level compression where it's just really it's just really smooth and it's really present, and I thought it sounds I've never been able to get that sound out of any vocal mic. When I try to what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to dial in the things, I can't get it to sound that way. Um,
Yeah.
and so like I think that's one of those skills where if you just have that ear for that sweet spot, people hire you so they can make it sound that good. Whatever,
Mhm.
whether it's TV or radio or a podcast or an album, or live sound even probably,
Yeah,
you
man,
know.
but that's never going away. The same
Mhm.
way, you've had your skills,
Yeah,
your ability to play instruments, your ability to get behind a microphone and make a song, bro. Like you've been
yeah,
doing this for years. It doesn't go anywhere. It's similar to like the audio engineering.
yeah.
It's just I feel like now, yes, I have that, but
Mhm.
like bundle that together with some other skills. Let's say if I, you know what I'm saying? Let's say
With
if
the
I pick some
marketing, right?
marketing, like then it's through the roof now. Now I know how to do the thing and then show you that I know how to do the thing. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's more of that for me. It's less of okay, I'm gonna go take a billboard and post it up or create the design for it and then showcase it. It's more so let me see how, like all of the pieces and the technicalities that's working behind the machine so then I could
yeah.
use those, you know what I'm saying, and put it behind me, put that machine behind me,
I like to
so
put the machine behind you, you know?
yeah, yeah. So like that's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I feel okay. So we're probably going to revisit this conversation because I need to upgrade to pro, Zoom tells me. I'm not a pro yet, so I got to work on it. But basically, like, I would say, like, how would you, if you were going to talk to, like, say, a group of young people, like, because, like, I'm looking at Be the Light as, yes, I want to help the homeless, right? I would like
Mhm.
to see people eventually get off the street. I would like to see some type of actual tangible way for one person who, and believe you me, I have seen people with marketing skills on the street. I've seen people with a go-getter attitude on the street, okay, which is just sad. It's not cool because it's like that person could do things, right? Like they could be.
Mhm.
It's just like the position they're in kind of is making them have a difficult time to get up on their feet, right?
Right.
Um, but would you, if you were going to talk to a young person or someone who's struggling to find a way to apply the skills that they have in a constructive manner to where they could maybe just get some kind of a foothold in life, right? What would you tell that person? Yeah, what would you tell them?
What would I tell that
You
person?
on the spot.
I,
Hot seat.
um, I, dude, because I've been in that, man. Okay, the best way for me to put this is
Mhm.
I've dealt with indecision. I've dealt with I'll keep it on that
Yeah,
indecision.
I'm gonna let you. You could run up the rest of the time to answer this. I'm not.
Okay,
We're gonna close with
no,
this.
but dude, so I've dealt with indecision, meaning there's so many things that I know that I'm good at, and other people out here in the world are telling me that I'm good at and that I should be doing.
Yeah,
Um, and it's cool having all of those options in front of you, and you feel amazing when you do. But as
mhm.
we were talking about before, if you're not taking any direct action towards one path and
Okay.
sticking to that path long enough to see it come to fruition, you're not really moving at all. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Mhm.
in place. You're stuck in place. Um, and so having my reality check to that degree, man, where somebody
Yeah.
had to come up to me, I'll keep it direct. Where
Yep.
my girlfriend had to come up to me and tell me, "Hey, man,
What are you doing?
dude, what are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like, "Hey, dude,
What
what
do
are
you
you
need
doing, bro?" Yeah.
significant people in
So,
your life for? Just be like,
e-
what the heck is going on?
exactly. You just okay. Someone who can really like tap into you as a human being and let you know that what you're doing isn't working, and not to the degree that they're trying to like pity you or shame you or anything, but more so on a constructive criticism type of way. Like, hey,
Yeah.
um, I know to you and in your world, it looks like you're doing a lot, but really in reality, you're still you're at a standstill.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
um the number one advice that I would give, and this is why I asked you earlier, how did you feel
Yeah.
about time? Because I think this was the confusion that I had with, within me being so spiritual and tapping into that aspect of myself,
Hmm.
my relationship with time was like mixed match. Like it was just confusing.
Like you don't have
So
enough, or it is there, and you got to deal with it, kind of thing.
not even just that, not even in a mortal way of looking at it, but more so in a constructive way of looking at time. Whereas,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, dude, it takes time to manifest anything into your life.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So be okay with taking a block of your time and devoting it to one thing, one craft.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
I think
And
that's a great
you'll,
piece of advice right there for people to just
mhm,
really stop and focus on. Is that is being okay with just devoting that time. That means nothing else takes that space.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Dude, because
Hmm.
it's fine. You'll feel that FOMO, the fear of missing out. You'll feel like, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. But
Hmm.
in reality, like what it really looks like is you progressing at whatever goals you set in place for yourself. You can't do everything in the world, man. Like,
Yeah.
like be okay with that. And the sooner you realize that, dude, like the further, I promise you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll like climb up that mountain so quickly. So
Okay, guys, so this got cut off a little bit short because we were having some technical difficulties with the audio, and I need to upgrade the Zoom account as well. I didn't realize that. So, um, but that's fine. This is a nice little digestible, conversation for anyone who's interested in this kind of work, this kind of thinking, self improvement, things of that nature, to where it's like, what is it that, helps a person be successful? And how would you help a person who's, maybe to struggling to find that clarity on what they need in order to do the same? So, anyways, I thought that was a great conversation with Flamo. Hopefully, you got that bit at the end where he was talking about, what you do with your time, and not being afraid of missing out when you do decide to block off time, and how that can help you to gain a lot of traction in your life, and as things start to become easier, they start to click, you start to actually have this kind of progress that you can look back in a year and say, wow, I can't believe I got to where I got to. And it's all in those little moments, those little bits of progress that you get through focusing, and allowing yourself to make those little bits of headway, and not to feel like it's not much that you're doing, or that something else you could have been doing instead was more important. So if you like this video, like and subscribe, and we'll continue to put out things with a similar kind of vibe to them. So I'm glad to have you all along for the ride, and can't wait to bring more of these thought-provoking conversations to you. Thanks for being the light.